Hey everybody, sorry I haven't posted in a while, but I kind of came across an interesting problem with this 2004 Dakota with a 4.7 liter engine. I bought this as a no-run vehicle a couple of years ago now, and I've honestly, I got it running kind of really half-ass like, and I've always had a problem with the ADS system, the automatic disable system or whatever they call it. I've always had a problem with that where I had to bypass this relay. I had to give power on both sides because the computer wouldn't give ground. And then I would check all my sensors, and all my sensors would have like 2 volts on them, and I could never figure out what the heck was going on. I would go in the vehicle, I would turn the key, and if the key sat there for a couple seconds, I would get no bus. I went through everything. I tore apart the harness. I did all these splices. I was taking the PCM 5-volt reference out of these 2 harnesses here and trying to isolate them. As you can see, I've made new ground wires. I went through everything. I've got a service manual. I've been thumbing through that whole thing. And then it dawned on me that my alternator, when I would get the engine running, the engine would run if I bypassed that ADS system. But my alternator wouldn't work. I would get no voltage out of it. And then I would get the computer to work, but I wouldn't get all the power out of the engine that I should. So I was just about ready to give up on the project, honestly, because it's really just a parts truck. But if I can make it a runner driver, then you know what? I'm gonna run and drive it. So then I thought that I would go and check the PCM for power. And I had a wire soldered onto here when I first bought it because I knew that there was no power. Well, this is 2 years ago. I forgot all about it. But the thing is, when I had the power I had it set up for switched. And then needless to say, the PCM would never get the right power. It needs to have battery constant on this red with white line here. I think it's pin number 19 in the black connector. So then I just looked at it again tonight and said, hey, you know what? I've spent like 5 nights, 6 nights on this thing, and I mean 6 hours a piece, just trying to figure this out, going through every little bit and piece, just tracing every single wire. Now, there was tons of squirrel stuff in this vehicle, so I figured there was a chewed wire, pinched wire, something. But what it turned out to be was there was no power on this wire. So I traced the wire all the way back into the fuse panel here. It's not a TIPM. It's just a power distribution module or fuse block. I don't know what you want to call it. But I tested it into here. And as you can see, I have a red with a white wire here. Turns out to be, see where this rust stain is? It's the one right above that. So it's that smaller pin. That had continuity between here and the PCM. So then I went into this connector right here, and right where my finger is, I tested the continuity between here, and you can see where I've got my multimeter stuck into junction block or junction distribution connector number 2, as they call it in the service manual. And I have no continuity between these. So then I started looking behind here, And you will see on this wire, it's kind of hard to see it, but there's corrosion on it. I don't know if I can get you in there to see it. Yeah, you can see it right there. You can see the little green snots there. So this wire terminal is corroded. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply snip this out and snip it out of here and then connect those, and then I'll be good to go. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you guys right back. Alrighty, I went through and did a connector with heat shrink glue in there, and I just want to show you. I'll pull this wire off there. Obviously it's not connected anymore, so we will come back over here. Immediately you can hear the fuel injector kick on. Truck fires right up. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna fix this right here real quick, and then I'll bring you guys back through and remove that solder joint that I had, connected that all, put heat shrink on it. I went through and put this back together. As you can see, this was the harness that was the offender, and it is the wire's no longer in here. It is actually underneath now. It's tucked into here, and then this is the connector that it goes into. So this is your distribution connector 2. So yep, so I want to show you guys that it does actually run. That's that ADS system kicking on, fuel pump kicking on, and it fires right up. Obviously a low fuel light, but no check engine light. I've got that indicator working correctly. It doesn't say no bus anymore. I also did have a problem with the transmission controller scrolling, so that also fixed that problem. So hopefully you like this type of stuff. If you do, please don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and I hope this video helps somebody out there. I know that everybody that posted stuff on YouTube explaining their problems did help me to a point. So that being said, everybody, have a great one, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now. One other thing to this video before I conclude it. One of the other issues that I was having was after I got the whole thing put back together, all of a sudden I had a no start issue. The vehicle would crank and crank and crank, but it would never fire up. So I went through all these wires and I was wiggling them and wiggling them, and all of a sudden I would get so that the vehicle would start, or excuse me, it would start or it would stop. And so I thought it was in this harness that the problem was. It turned out that right here, it's very hard to see it, but this is your ASD relay. This here actually had a pin fitment issue. And so every time I would go to put this cover back on, I would just, and you can see it's kind of warped just a little bit, okay? I would have an issue where it would just bump this just ever so slightly, and it would cause it to be no contact on that. So if you're getting a crank and it will not fire, check this relay, check the fitment on that relay. All right, so that's just one other thing that you can check. And one other last thing is you will notice that all these junctions are labeled here. Okay, here's your engine relay. This is actually your ASD relay. Okay, so if anybody needs the manual for this, I'm gonna put the link in the description of where I got it from. I'm not responsible for it. Just knowing that, I just want to let you guys know that it is out there and available to you free of cost. So hopefully that helps you guys. Again, if it does, great. If it doesn't, it's, you know, it's maybe a little bit of ammo for the old toolbox or brain cap. So that being said, everybody, have a great one. Bye-bye.
This here is just one fender worth of walnut shells. I had an entire shop vac full of these nuts.